What do Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and Argentina all have in common? They printed their way into poverty. Money became worthless, savings vanished, and people, they didn't see it coming until it was too late. Now, here's the thing. What if the early signs are already showing up here in the US? History doesn't always repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. And if you know where to listen, the echoes are getting louder. Now, I know when people hear the words money printing or inflation, their eyes glaze over like it's just economic mumbo jumbo. But here's the truth most folks miss. When governments crank up the money printer, they're not just changing the numbers on a spreadsheet. They're rewriting the value of your time, your savings, and your future. In this video, we're diving into the real life stories, nations that collapsed under the weight of their own economic decisions. Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Argentina. These aren't cautionary tales from centuries ago. This is modern history playing out in slow motion. Then we'll flip the lens and talk about what you can do, how to protect yourself, how to build a legacy that holds its value, and why something like Bitcoin, yes, the thing your uncle called a scam, might just be your strongest line of defense. So grab your coffee, stay with me, because this isn't just about money. It's about the world you're building for yourself and for the people that you love. Hey, I'm Josh Lasket, a Sacramento realtor, builder, Bitcoin believer, and big fan of good coffee and good people. On this channel, we keep it real with life, with money, and with legacy. So let's dive in. Hyperinflation. Now, I know that word gets tossed around a lot online, usually by people trying to sell fear. But let's cut through the noise and get real for a second. Hyperinflation isn't just inflation turned up a notch. It's inflation gone rogue. It's when a country starts printing so much money that the very thing it's built on, trust, breaks down. The paper in your wallet, worthless. The savings you worked 20 years to build, gone in a month. People start lining up at grocery stores, not because there's a shortage of food, but because prices double before lunch. Imagine this. You go to bed with enough money to buy groceries, and by the time you wake up, you can't even afford a loaf of bread. Not because you were irresponsible, but because the government played monopoly with your future. That's not just bad economics, that's betrayal. You see, money has value because we believe it does. But when a government abuses that trust by creating more and more of it out of thin air, the system snaps. And it doesn't snap slowly, it breaks hard, and it breaks lives with it. History's full of these stories. The middle class wiped out overnight. Elderly folks on fixed incomes unable to buy basic medicine. Entire economies collapsing, not from war, but from reckless monetary policy. And here's why it matters right now in the US. In 2025, we're seeing some of those early cracks, not full collapse yet, but wages that don't keep up, groceries that cost double what they did 3 years ago, and home prices through the roof, while dollars in your account buy less and less. And we're told it's transitory, that it'll just work itself out. But history says otherwise. And history tends to repeat itself unless we're paying attention. So let's take a look back to see what's coming. Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Argentina, a cautionary tale. Now, these stories might feel far away, but I promise you, they're closer to home than we think. Let's talk about 3 real world case studies, and not ancient history either. This all happened in the last couple of decades. Venezuela, once one of the wealthiest nations in South America, oil rich, beautiful cities, solid infrastructure. Then the government tried to stimulate the economy by, well, just printing more money. At first, it felt like free candy, more programs, more cash. But by 2018, inflation hit 65,000%. People were bringing backpacks of cash to buy a single chicken. Doctors, engineers, teachers, they fled the country, not because of war, but because money stopped meaning anything. Zimbabwe, this one almost feels like satire. The government printed a $100 trillion note. Let me say that once again, $100 trillion. It sounds like a cheat code from a video game, but you couldn't even buy a loaf of bread with it. People started bartering with chickens, fuel, anything real, because the currency was worthless. It was monopoly money in a real world economy. And then there's Argentina. Today, right now, they're still in the thick of it. Over 100% annual inflation. People spend their paychecks the second they get them. Not because they're reckless, but because if they wait till next week, everything will cost more. Imagine going into a store and seeing prices rise while you're still shopping. That's life for millions of families in Argentina right now. What do these countries have in common? Well, government mismanagement, crushing national debt, excessive money printing, and the dangerous illusion that they could just fix it later. But later never came. And here's the kicker, friend. These weren't wild, unstable places to begin with. These were functioning economies until trust broke down. So let me ask you, when we look at what's happening here, ballooning debt, endless spending, and a central bank printing trillions overnight, does it still sound so far-fetched? Because when the storm comes, it doesn't care how advanced your economy is. If the roof's got a hole in it, it's gonna leak. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but Josh, this is America. We're not Venezuela. We're not Zimbabwe. We're fine, are we? Let's take a breath and look a little closer. Our national debt, it just passed $34 trillion. That's more than $100,000 per American man, woman, and child. That's not monopoly money. That's your kid's future leveraged. Between 2020 and 2021, the Federal Reserve printed more money than in the previous 100 years combined. Let that sink in. Now, where did all that money go? Stimulus? Sure. Corporate bailouts? Absolutely. But now we're paying the price in silence. At the pump, in the grocery aisles, and the housing market. Groceries are up, gas is up, rent is through the roof, but wages? Stagnant. Your paycheck is buying less, but no one handed you a memo explaining why. And see, that's how it starts. Not with sirens, not with chaos, but with little cracks, quiet, almost invisible at first. The dollar doesn't suddenly crash, it leaks. A slow drip. That $5 breakfast sandwich is now $8. That $1,800 rent is now $2,400. That $500,000 starter home tries $700,000 and still needs work. And we're told this is just inflation. It'll cool down. It's under control. But what if it's not? What if we're the frog in the pot and the water's been heating for years? See, the danger with being the world's reserve currency is that people assume we're immune. But no one is immune from the laws of economics. You flood the system with dollars, and each one becomes weaker. It's not politics, it's math. And if you've ever found yourself wondering, why does everything feel harder these days? You're not crazy. You're just feeling the early waves of something deeper. The current's changing. You can't always see it on the surface, but it's pulling at everything underneath. So, where do we go from here? When governments overspend, when dollars lose value, when trust breaks down, you've got to ask yourself, what's actually solid? What can't be inflated away? What can't be printed into oblivion? That's where alternative assets come in. Now, I'm not saying go off grid and bury gold in your backyard, but I am saying if the system is built on debt and dollars that lose power every year, then maybe it's time to hold something that system can't touch. Then maybe it's time to hold something the system can't touch. Gold has been a store of value for thousands of years. It's stood the test of time, wars, empires, recessions. And real estate? I love it. It's bricks, land, a roof over your family's head. It's tangible, it appreciates, and it builds generational wealth. But now, we're living in a digital age. The world is changing. Whether we like it or not, money's going digital. Banks are going digital. Records, contracts, assets, all shifting online. So let me introduce you to Bitcoin. Now, before you roll your eyes or think, Josh, isn't that just internet monopoly money? Believe me, I asked the same thing. I was skeptical. Hell, I'm a realtor and a woodworker. I like things that I can touch. But here's what changed my mind. Bitcoin is digital real estate. It's finite. Only 21 million will ever exist. It can't be printed. It can't be inflated. It runs on code, not a central bank. And it's decentralized. No one person or government controls it. In a world where trust in institutions is fading, Bitcoin isn't about getting rich quick. It's about having something that no one can mess with. Not Washington, not Wall Street, and not even the Fed. And that's what freedom really is. Owning something that can't be devalued while you sleep. Bitcoin might be digital, but it represents the same principles I believe in. Discipline, scarcity, independence, and legacy. So no, Bitcoin isn't magic. It's not a shortcut. But in uncertain times, it's resilient in code. And to me, that's worth its weight in gold. You know, this video might seem like it's all about money, but the truth is, it's about something much deeper. It's about control, it's about legacy, and it's about waking up to the realization that the system we were taught to trust might actually be the very thing that's slowly draining our time, our energy, and our freedom. And look, I'm not here to tell you to panic. I'm not saying sell everything, hoard gold, and live off grid in the mountains. That's not the answer. But I am saying this. Take back the wheel. Start paying attention. Ask the uncomfortable questions. Look past the headlines, because nobody's coming to rescue your retirement. Nobody's going to fight your financial future harder than you. For me, this journey, learning about inflation, Bitcoin, money, debt cycles, it's not just some intellectual rabbit hole. It's personal. I've got a wife, I've got kids, and I want them to grow up in a world where they know how value works, where they don't feel helpless in a broken system. And if I can plant seeds today, whether in my own family or in yours, that helps someone live with more clarity, more intention, more courage, then it's worth it. I study this stuff because I care, because faith, family, and hard work built this country, and I still believe they can build the life we're meant to live. So maybe today's the day that you stop coasting and start building, because when your roots are strong, really strong, no storm can knock you over. Now, if this video stirred something in you, challenged the way that you see money, the economy, or even your own future, hit that like button, leave a comment, and consider subscribing. I post every week, right here, real estate, financial freedom, faith, family, mindset, the stuff that matters most when you zoom out and look at the big picture. Now, you'll find links in the description to learn more about Bitcoin, alternative assets, and how to build something that actually lasts. Clear and direct with truth and tools to help you live better. And listen, this isn't about fear. This is about being prepared. You don't need to be an expert overnight. You just need to start asking better questions and listening for better answers. So, until next time, keep building, stay grounded, and love your people well. And remember, a single smile is infectious. It can spread joy and cover a mile. We'll see you next time.